Welcome to the Matchmaker Matchmaker podcast, where we talk all about dating, love, relationships, and matchmaking because it is our favorite topic in the world. I love bringing people together and I love introducing you to some special people that are in my world. And our guest today is Laurie Young. She is known as the Seattle Shadchan. And we have an incredible story. And you need to say, thank you, Laurie. We love you, Laurie, because she was my matchmaker to get on Jewish matchmaking. They called her, actually, and a whole bunch of my other friends and a whole bunch of other Jewish matchmakers in the industry and said, hey, and maybe Laurie, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but hey, you want to be on the show? Let's do an interview, do a whole thing. And she spoke to them and she's like, no, I don't really want to do this. Not my thing, but you should call Eliza. She's good. You can ask her any question on the spot. She'll answer it. Here's her number. Here's her email. Contact her. And then she contacted me and she goes, they're calling. Pick up. It's about a show. You're going to want to do this. This is how my brain tells the story. Laurie, is that at all accurate?
Pretty close. I'd say it's pretty close.
So I have an enormous amount of gratitude to you. Thank you for being my matchmaker, for bringing Jewish matchmaking to me and to help me to reach the world to do some incredible things. I feel so blessed, and that it was the biggest Kiddush Hashem, the biggest light unto the world and to all the nations, not just the Jewish nation. And I'm just so grateful to you. So thank you for bringing that to me.
Well, I have a lot of gratitude to you, Elise Vencelo, because you have helped me so much through the years. I've taken your coaching course. I've promoted it to others. I just have a lot of gratitude for you for helping me with my difficult coaching situations. You're always there for me, and I really appreciate it. And this is so backwards for us because I've made so many videos interviewing you and getting your thoughts. So this is the first time you're interviewing me. So it's
I know.
totally a different experience.
So for any matchmakers that are listening to this, in addition to my course that I have, Laurie and I recorded free matchmaking training videos, which is not a course. It's not a whole organized thing. It's just the topic of the week. We discuss it and we move through it. And we recorded probably over 30 of these matchmaker interviews and conversations, and is phenomenal. People are still using them. And so if you ever recognize Laurie from any of your matchmaker training, that's what you're going to see there. And now I want to just kind of dig in because there's this saying, if you make 3 matches, you go to heaven. We don't have any Jewish source for it. I don't have any source in the world for it. But I believe even if you make 1 match, you go to heaven because it is so hard to bring people together. And you have made around 18 matches, including your own match. So I want you to...
I'm not counting my own match, but...
Okay, fine, 19 then. But tell me about your own match first. I want to hear because you really made this happen.
I really did. My husband-to-be was in the family practice residency in Seattle, Washington. And I had become observant through the community in Seattle. So my best friend lived there. I was originally from Anchorage, Alaska. So we used to go to summer camp in Seattle, and I had a whole group of friends there. They're the ones where I first discovered Orthodox Judaism, and I was so taken in by the beautiful people in Seattle. They were just really special. So through them, slowly, I became more observant during my teenage years. And my husband, who is from California, became more observant during his teenage years. So we already had a lot in common. So my cousin and my aunt walk into the little Jewish grocery store.
It's like the beginning of a good joke. My cousin and my aunt, they walk in.
And it's this little tiny place that this lovely lady, Lily Azos, may she rest in peace. She used to bake their challahs and stuff and sell the little, this only little Jewish kosher grocery store in Seattle. And Lily loves Zev, my husband. She adopted him when he came to town. She used to invite him for Shabbos and all. Anyway, so Lily says to this nice looking Jewish gal, my cousin, do you want to go out with a nice Jewish boy? And she says, I'm married. So she says, but I have a sister. Zev comes back when he gets this information, he goes to our mutual friend, Sharon Adato, who lived in Seattle, and said, someone wants to set me up with this gal. And Sharon says, I think I know her cousin. So she calls me, and I'm living in New York. I don't like New York. I don't want to live in New York. I want to live in Seattle. So when she tells me about a nice Jewish doctor living in Seattle, I said, hold him for me. I'm coming to meet him, because my cousin was not observant. He
Oh,
was
yeah. Wait, I
observant.
just want to pause. Hold him for me. Hold him. I'm coming. I want to meet him.
I'm telling you, that's exactly what I said. Hold him for me. I'm coming to meet him. There are certain
I
lines
feel
in
like
life.
it's like on reserve at a store. Put it on the side. I'll be there to pick it up on Tuesday at 10, right?
Exactly. And
Amazing.
my sister conveniently had a baby in Alaska not long after. So I said, I'm going to the bris. In
Wow.
fact, we tried to get my husband to do the bris because he was training also to do brises, but he wasn't licensed to practice medicine out of state. So we couldn't get him up to Alaska. So I go home to Alaska for the bris, and I just happened to come back through Seattle so I could meet him. And when I saw him, so I'm standing in my friend Sharon's kitchen, and he's like up on the walkway, up the hill a little bit, and he's waving like this with his shirt tail sticking out of his vest, and he's so cute. My mouth dropped open like in the movies. Have you ever had your mouth drop open? It's a real thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he's so cute. I'm like, he's so cute. So we have Friday night dinner together in the sukkah, and I'm a little quiet. Like, I'm really kind of excited about this. And one of the first times we have a little intimate talk, he says to me, I heard you're on a diet. Now, you would think I would get up and walk out, but I was like so in shock, like he would say this to me. But my friend Sharon had showed him a picture of me and said, she's on a diet, because I was heavier. I was just so astounded, I didn't know what to say.
I mean, that's when my jaw would have dropped open. I would have been like,
I'm
we don't see this. I don't care how many years ago this is, but like, what?
I know, but you see, my husband, he was in training for health, morning, noon, and night. Oh, he didn't care about
His
my
health and wellness was on his mind.
totally. He didn't care about my figure. He didn't care if I was overweight.
He wanted to make sure that you were in a healthy place.
That's it. That's
So
all.
you got to tell me what comes next after I heard you're on a diet. Because for me, it's kind of like I heard you're on a diet and I'd be like, I heard you're sitting alone. Bye. Like that's it. I am out of here. What kind of a line is that? This is the worst pickup line I've ever heard.
It just was so like out of my context. I didn't know what to do. I don't remember what I did. I probably said, yeah, I am. I lost 20 pounds.
And what
I don't
do you remember
remember.
what he said, or
I don't remember. It was
where
so
does the
shocking.
conversation go from there?
I don't know. But anyway, he also told me sometime during the relationship, he had two other girlfriends. One he was seeing locally, and one he was really serious about in Israel. And I
And
said,
you're the third
okay.
one added to this mix?
So, I'm going to tell you, I will shorten my
Lori, this is a really.
This is what my
You've
dad
told me
said to
this
me.
story before, and I'm a little in shock.
This is what my dad said to me. Laurie, you're not number 2 in the girls that I've gone out with. You're number 400, right? He's gone out with a lot of girls, which isn't true. My husband was not a big dater. Maybe we can see why. He said, you have as good a chance as anyone else. You're not number 2, you're number 200. No, it's
right. He didn't marry any of the other ones yet.
So I was there. I was like not pushing it, but in a way. Okay, so I go back to New York and I start scheming again. How am I going to get back to Seattle to see this guy again? Because we decided to keep in touch very casually. And so I plan a trip to Hawaii with my mom. So I go to Seattle, we see each other. It was kind of good. And, it was kind of fun. We're enjoying each other's company. And then he asks my friend Sharon, who I'm staying with, to come to the hospital the next day and have lunch with him. I'm sure because she's the Shadchan, right? To discuss our shidduch. So this is what I do. You're going to love this, Eliza. And I'm really sharing this so all women can learn something from it. I put a note on his car windshield that night. Why take a married woman to lunch when there's a single woman in town who would be delighted to go out for lunch? Call me before 10 in the morning if you want me to come. The phone rings at 10 to 10. And he says, why don't you come have lunch with me? So I went out to lunch with him at the hospital, which Lily catered the meals for him at Providence Hospital. And we had a delightful lunch together. So yeah, I did that.
Yeah, that is a really wildly bold move. And approximately how many years ago was that?
We've been married 40.
42 years. So this was, listen, this was before the days that women were asking men out, because modern day women are asking men out all the time. It's not uncommon at all. People are like, oh, I'm more traditional. I said, you can be more traditional, but the one who asks the other one out is the one who gets the date. So you may want to consider trying something different. So more than 42 years ago, you were asking him out and he responded by going, sure, I'll call you and I'll ask you to join me for lunch. You just gave him, you basically said to him, I'm going to say yes. If you invite me to lunch, I'm going to say yes. You're not going to get rejected. It's very easy. So, call me and let's go out.
I had nothing else to do that day.
I mean, also the other thing is why schmooze with the married lady about what's the relationship between us when you could just go out with me or call me or ask me and I could just tell you myself.
Yes, let's work on our relationship. So anyway, he was good with that. So then I go off to Hawaii. And before I go to Hawaii, I think, okay, this guy's not really going to be interested in me. So I'm going to ask him some serious questions. So I asked him, do you want your wife to be Shomer Shabbos? And I felt his answer was very wishy-washy because, I felt I was maybe a little more observant than he was. So I wasn't sure that it was the right level for me. Then I said, do you want your wife to go to mikveh? He says,
okay, so I just want to try keeping Shabbat, Shomer Shabbat, go to mikvah
and
is
cover my hair. So I
right,
asked him those
observing the
three
laws of
questions.
family purity and covering their hair. Okay.
I asked him those three questions, and I felt all of his answers were wishy washy. So I go to Hawaii. I'm not going to come back through Seattle to see him. I had planned to go back through California to see my brother who was in yeshiva, but I can't stop thinking about him when I'm in Hawaii. Can't stop. So I think to myself, I have nothing to lose at this point. I call him up. I have to get him out of my mind. I just have to. So I call him up and the phone rings and it rings and he's dripping wet from the shower. He goes to answer the phone because he doesn't know if the hospital is calling him
Well,
right before he got a pager. That's how
right.
long ago it was. So he's dripping wet. And I say, if I come to Seattle, will you see me? I remember the words, will you see me? And he says, yes, sure. And so I do go back to Seattle and things get a little more connected after that. So then, okay, I have one more thing where this happens. We have a good time. I come back through. I make brownies in his apartment for the Torah class that he's hosting. It's really fun.
It's great. Just smell the apartment, make it smell delicious like brownies, and now life is good. She's cooking in my kitchen. She could do that forever if she did that today. Why not for the next 40 years? Okay.
Well, then I go back to New York and I start scheming. How am I going to get back to Seattle? Now, I consider myself an expert in long distance dating through my own and
Clearly.
all the matches I've made. But I did all the traveling. There was no rules then. There was no rule he has to fly first. And if I would have waited for him to fly first, he probably wouldn't have flown.
No, not especially if he's a doctor and he's on call and he has more responsibilities and can't just get away. It would be more
So
difficult.
I'm scheming, how am I going to get back to Seattle? And I asked him, oh, yeah, I did go back for Pesach and we spent the first few days of Pesach. So we're like everywhere in the community. They all see us. Seattle's a small community. So like everybody
Mhm.
knows that Laurie and Zev are dating. Like we know everybody knows us. Then I start thinking, long distance dating shouldn't be just flying in and out for 3 days and I have nothing to do, no responsibilities. It's not real life dating, is what I call it. And this is what I encourage my long distance daters to do as well, is to go for a period of time, 3 weeks, 3 months, whatever you can do to actually live in another
Wow.
person's city so you can date normally. So I say to Zeb, how about I come for the summer? And he says, well, there's talk that maybe my friend from Israel might come this summer. I'll know around May 5th. So that's when my dad had told me, Lori, you're not number 2, you're number 200. So I call him on May 5th and I'm waiting to see if I'm coming. And he says, I didn't hear from her yet. So another couple days go by. Anyway, she doesn't come. I come. I live there for 3 months. I take a couple of art courses at the University of Washington. I quit my job. I just came to Seattle and we dated normally and we got engaged by the end of the summer. We went to Portage Glacier in Alaska, which has since melted, and he carved our initials in the ice and he asked me in Hebrew to marry him. that kind of threw me for a loop. But anyway, we got married and we've been married 42 years and we have 3 married sons, all having babies.
Wow, that is one of the most unconventional dating stories I have ever heard. And had you told me this, and had I been coaching you through it step by step, I would have said, listen, sounds like he has some other women here and he's non-committal. Not only wouldn't I put all my eggs in this basket, I don't know that I would have so much hope in this. Like, nice that you're interested, but I'm not seeing the same type of commitment back. Not so sure this is got so much hope. And from every step of the way, every part of the story you're telling me, I'm going, okay, not so sure I would have advised that, but that's, you got chutzpah. You've got chutzpah. And I think through all that chutzpah, you earned yourself a husband. And
Right.
basically, the other relationship, even if there's conversations, it's not a relationship. It's long distance. You made long distance short. You made long distance attainable because you came and met him where he was at, and the other people weren't doing that, clearly. Nice that you have a conversation and nice that there's a connection online, but if we never actually get to meet or we don't meet frequently enough, there's not enough momentum. So you created the momentum that your relationship needed, and you didn't get distracted or jealous about whatever else was going on. I don't know if I could have handled that. I'd have been like, besides jealous, like, you're just not so interested. Clearly, you don't want me. You've got other things going on.
I couldn't get him out of my mind, Elisa. I wanted to. That's why I asked him those questions, because I really didn't think he was for me.
Right. So that was
I
the other
did
thing.
not ask him to marry me. I did not ask him to marry me.
Okay, so that's the part of my story where I didn't exactly ask my husband, but I basically told him, like, if you're waiting because you think I need to wait, you're not waiting. I didn't ask him. He asked me. But I basically gave him permission that, like, yeah, okay, you can move ahead. So we each have a little chutzpah in our story. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your real story and all the nuances and details. And I think it goes to show that there's not one way of going about making a match and about meeting somebody and about connecting. And the rules, because you know me, I love date them till you hate them, and when in doubt, go out. We have lots of rules, but also you have to follow what is in your heart and what's good for you. And sometimes we break the rules. There's like, traditionally we might do this, but in this circumstance, we're not. And normally we might do that, but in this case, actually, we're not. And I think that that happens sometimes, and that's totally fine. That's just what it is. So thank you for sharing that. And since you're not just a long distance dating expert, but you're also a Zoom dating expert. So I don't know that people know, but Laurie hosts alongside of another matchmaker, a friend of ours, Zoom matchmaking events. And you've created a really unique situation where it's not just, a group of singles and you throw 2 people in a room, but it's kind of a group dating experience. So tell me about a match story from one, because I know we actually know somebody that there's a match story from that, but there's other stories. Tell me one of your Zoom dating success stories.
Okay. Well, first of all, Elisa, I don't know if you remember, but you and I pioneered this 5 years ago. You and I did the first Zoom dating event, and
right, we each ran one of the. We all came together. We had Zoom breakout rooms, but it was 2 rooms. You were in one, I was in one. We got the conversations going, and then we asked people afterwards a survey. Who did you meet? Who did you like? And then we matched them up.
So you worked really hard on a template for us to manage all of the people who are interested in each other. But now I'm only doing these events on Saw You at Sinai because they have an amazing app that everyone makes their selection after the event to say who they're interested or not interested in, or may be interested in. And it just makes the matching so much easier. In fact, last Sunday, we did a 55 plus event. We had 70 people register. And Kim and I are still busy making matches from that. So with that app, it's just amazing. And thank you for helping sponsor that Elisa Ben Shalom is one of our sponsors. So anyway, so people sign up for our Zoom dating events, and people can go to sawyouatsinai.com/events to see what events are being offered. So I'm reading all the people who have applied for this one event. It was a 55 plus event. In fact, we've had 4 matches in the 55
By
plus.
the way, I love that you make events for 55 plus because there's very few matchmakers that do that. Also, we cater to different singles. So there's secular singles, traditional singles, or observant singles. And the fact that you make events for 55 plus and often Torah observant singles or traditional singles is very special because it's a niche marketplace and it's a marketplace that isn't often enough serviced. First of all, Yasher Koach. So tell me
Yeah.
the match story.
Even though we had 70 people on our last event, we hit it out of the park. People were they really appreciated it, and it was run really well. We didn't get one complaint, which is amazing, only positive feedback. So I'm reading the list of people who registered for this event. And I see, oh, this person's from Lakewood. This person's from Lakewood. Just widowed, ages. Looks like their religious level is the same. From the same city. I think I'm going to set them up now.
Before the event.
I set them up before the event, and they had a 3-hour conversation, their first conversation. They had a 3-hour conversation the next day. They met the next day. And so I say to them, do you still want to come to the event? They said, no, Laurie, we don't want to. I said, come and you can have backup in case you don't work out. I'll hold your matches and you'll have, people to date if this doesn't work out. No, thank you. Just give me a refund. So both people got a refund. Both people didn't come. And they were crazy about each other. They had so much in common from their backgrounds. And then the little hiccup came during this shidduch that they both had unmarried children. And they said, Laurie, do we have to wait till our kids get married first? I said, no, you don't. When you find love, you got to move on it. And I think they only dated about 2.5 to 3 months at the most. I always encourage people to date for at least 3 months. I think 3 months.
Well, this is also, I just want to explain for anybody who's not religious or listening to this and going, what? 3 months, 2 months, that's it. So in religious circles, it could be anywhere from a few dates, a few weeks, or a few months. And people are often getting engaged and then soon after getting married. And often the process is under 6 months from dating till marriage.
So anyway, they got married. They were so happy. They say, Laurie, how much do we owe you? They wanted to pay their Shadchan's gift right away. They split it. They were just so happy. And I'm counting that as a Zoom dating event match, even though it didn't happen.
Well, it is because you weren't specifically looking for them and only because they registered for the event and you pre-made the match. Like you saw it there and you're like, no, I'm not waiting for that. Let's get this going. This is actually a beautiful match. So by the way, that's the sign of a good matchmaker. You see something, you say something, you set up a date, you make it happen, and you're like, doesn't matter, right? Like we lose 2 participants coming to the event.
It was beautiful. They were so happy. I count that one as my easiest match. That was my easiest match.
Well, so the idea for the match came because you had 70 people apply and you were looking, like attracts like and trying to bring them together.
Yes.
So it helped that they registered and brought themselves together. Mm-hmm. Gorgeous. So how about you have a long distance dating match story besides your own?
I do. I have lots of them, but I'm just going to tell you about my first match. So I open up my business, the Seattle Shadchan. I get a website. I give a talk in Seattle. I've only been a matchmaker for 6 weeks. I had watched every video on dating and marriage on TorahAnytime.com. I read every book on relationships I could get a hold of. I have a coaching background, a life coaching background, and a wellness coaching background. And then I found your course and took your course. So I considered myself like I had an education. I could go out and be a matchmaker. So I give a talk 6 months. I have one client who's in my shul who hired me actually by the hour to work for him. I give a talk in Seattle and this one young man comes and he is a student at the naturopathy school in Seattle. So he's a Baal Tshuva. And I put his profile out with Shalom Blatter. Shalom Blatter is a tzaddik of a man who sends out about 30 profiles a day to his matchmaking network. And I often put my people on Shalom Blatter. So a mom of a single girl from New York sees the profile and says, oh, this sounds like a nice young man. And I had learned to write shidduch profiles. Other people might call them a resume. And she said, would he be interested in going out with my daughter? And at first the guy says, I don't know. I'm not sure. She's religious from birth and I'm a newer Baal Tshuva. And, I've only been observant for a little while. Anyway, his rabbi talks him into it. So there we go. They meet. This is in the days of Skype. No FaceTiming, none of that stuff. So they have phone conversations, they have Skype conversations, and then it's about to fall apart. Why? She calls me and says, he's so serious, Laurie. I don't know really if I can go any further with this. And I get a call from him, and he says, she's so serious. Well, it turns they had a discussion on religion, which was a serious conversation for both of them. So of course I gave them the advice, why don't you lighten up, have a more fun date the next time. They did their long distance dating, they got married, and the mom of the woman was the other matchmaker. And I said, you only have to pay me half the shidduch because you were the other matchmaker. But she was.
So I want to give context. In traditional matchmaking, religious matchmaking circles, matchmakers are working on a volunteer basis to help set people up and make matches. And upon engagement, there's a success fee, or shidduch gelt in Jewish language, that each side, would pay their matchmaker, whoever the matchmaker was. And if there's two, then each side would pay the matchmaker that worked with them. So because it was the mom, they didn't have to. So they just paid the one side, which was you. What a fantastic match story. I love it. I love it. Laurie, you've given us so many golden nuggets of wisdom. Do you have any other, you like to call it pearls of wisdom. I call them golden nuggets. But do you have any other pearls of wisdom for either daters or somebody who wants to set somebody up? I think that singles or people who are married, anybody can make a match. You don't have to be a professional matchmaker. You can see two people, think that this might go together. You have to have good reasons why, and you can bring them together. Do you have any advice for matches or singles who are looking for a match?
Sure. I don't have as many ideas as you. But
now you just one golden nugget of wisdom is great.
Well, Elisa, you have been the proponent of momentum dating, and I see with my matches that the biggest killer of a shidduch, of a match, is when people don't follow up and follow through. You've got to keep going on a regular basis. So once someone's set up, they have the first phone call. You either come back to your matchmaker and say, yes, I want to go forward. I don't want to go forward. You and I both like people to have at least 3 dates before deciding yes or no. Take the pressure off the first date, unless it's absolutely no. There has to be momentum. And if you're dating long distance, you need to see each other as soon as reasonably possible, because you can fall in love on the telephone. But again, it's not real life dating. And you need to see the person as soon as you can. But with the momentum dating, the point I really want to bring out is, let's say a couple days have gone by and you're the woman, you haven't heard from him, but you liked him. Go ahead and send him a text. Go ahead and send him a Shabbat Shalom. Pick up the phone and call him, because you have nothing to lose. Maybe
right, because if he's going to say no anyway, you've lost. And if you try and it works, then it wins. And if it doesn't work, it would have been a lose anyway. So it doesn't matter.
And some guys actually like that a woman will be a little enthusiastic. Women have to show, yes, I like you, and call out what they like about the person. Don't keep your compliments in your head, what you like about the guy. Say it. And for men too, say it, see it, say it, connect.
Right, that's Laurie. When you see something, say something. See it, say it, connect. Beautiful. Laurie, thank you. It has been an absolute pleasure to hear your stories, to learn from your wisdom, and I would say a little unconventional wisdom from a traditional matchmaker. I think that's what we got today. If anybody wants to reach out and find you, can they just go to seattleshadchan.com, find you there, learn more about you? You can connect. She's interconnected mostly in the Torah observant or traditional through Torah observant world, singles of all ages, but a specialty with older singles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I like them 28 and over. I don't really like to work with mothers.
Okay. So 20s.
I like to work with people who know themselves and know what they want.
Late Late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s.
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I so appreciate you being with us. Thank you to everybody who has been listening and following along. If you like this wisdom and you want more of it, you can get it in my book, Matchmaker Matchmaker. And if you don't like reading, guess what? I will read it to you. There's an audiobook available. I don't know if you knew that, Laurie, but there's an audiobook. I just got over bronchitis. I hope it sounds fabulous. They really worked hard to make sure that I sounded like me, but there's so many tips and tools for wisdom for you to set yourself up, for you to set your friends up, or if you're married and you have children or neighbors or siblings, all of it's here. Anything that came to my mind that was like, oh, you gotta know this, I threw it in this book. So it's here. It's available on Amazon and at your favorite bookstore. And as always, if you like what you're hearing, subscribe to our podcast. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, check us out, subscribe, share this with a friend, somebody who might really value learning from what we have to offer. And please, may you all be successful in finding a match and making a match, please God, this year. All the
Amen.
best.